So let's talk about how to define a godly purpose over a man-made purpose. And I just want to share a little bit about my story, because I have been the absolute master of man-made purposes. And the reality is I got into business, the business world at a young age, and it was awesome. Flashy and money and all these things that you could ever dream of, thinking about buying sweet cars and buying an island and all these things. That nothing wrong with that stuff, but my heart was so corrupt. I would wake up in the morning so tense about what I had to do that day. I'd go to bed so anxious, thinking about what I had to do the next day. I'd go through every day tired. I'd go through every day frustrated, comparing and judging. But I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know any better. And what had happened actually is it drove me to a point where I started having intense physical pain. Doctors called it carpal tunnel. Had bad back. I wore orthotics in my shoes. I had glasses. And I had so much bitterness, so much resentment in my heart, because it was my purpose. It was what I wanted. It had no benefit for anybody other than myself. And God shattered that. He absolutely shattered that. Part of my story as well is pornography addiction. I struggled for 14 years with that. Been free for over a year and a bit now. Praise God for that. But what he did, and I always joke around about this, is it would have been New Year's Eve 2017, and I was terrified to tell anybody that I struggled with pornography or was getting free from pornography. But what Jesus did is he allowed me to find that purpose in my heart. He gave me an ability to really find that purpose in my heart. And it was like January 1st. I'm like getting a haircut. And the guy asked me what I'm doing. I'm like, man, I'm going to start writing a book about porn addiction. And to the world, that's absolutely ridiculous, absolutely foolish. What a weird thing to do. But I felt so much joy and peace and satisfaction and fulfillment. I didn't even have to look around and make sure people were looking at me. I was just like, I know that God has given me a purpose. And I share that because it's so available to absolutely everybody. I actually had to quit everything that I was doing, everything with business. I had to quit. Let go of 6 years of friendships and work that I had done. I just could not be disobedient to the Lord any longer. But where I'm going with this story, because I want to share the humility of it, is I would say the last month, I took God's purpose and I put my own heart on it. And I started chasing money. I started thinking about looking cool, being recognized, rather than helping people get free from pornography, rather than adding value to churches. I started thinking about all these things that were worldly, and I was exhausted. I was burnt out. I would go to bed so frustrated. I'd wake up exhausted. I wasn't sleeping for the last four or 5 weeks. And that's the reality of it, is we all have a God-given purpose. But how often do we put our own flesh on it? It's so frustrating that I am so human and I do that too. And I've just had this amazing refreshment the last week or so, really letting go of the things that I want that make sense. And that's why I shared that earlier, is what makes sense doesn't make sense to God. He does not look at your bank account. He looks at your faith. He wants you to trust him. And that is something that Helen and I are learning right now in a major way.